And Evan, that's my question to you, because
Right.
Mark Meadows is not just coming voluntarily and saying to the special counsel Jack Smith, hey, I'd love to participate. Obviously, you need to give me immunity just in case. I mean, obviously, this is some sort of hardcore deal. Like I would imagine, where Jack Smith says something like, "This is what we could prosecute you on, unless we come to some sort of agreement," right?
Right, exactly. Look, I mean, certainly George Terwilliger, who is one of the attorneys for Mark Meadows, is known here in Washington to drive a pretty good bargain. And so one of the things that certainly people around the former president, Jake, have certainly been concerned about is the fact that Terwilliger and the Meadows legal team has pretty much cut off all contact. People reach out to them to try to see if they could coordinate some kind of information, and they don't get any calls back. That's something that we've heard from sources over the last few months. And so that's really driven a lot of the concern inside Trump world that Mark Meadows had found a way to save himself and to protect himself and to make a deal. And so that appears to be what exactly had happened behind the scenes. And as you pointed out, Jake, what's going on in Georgia, we know more people are going to be taking those deals, all of which, of course, raises questions for the former president.
Evan, stick around. I also want to bring in CNN's Jamie Gangel. Jamie, an important part of this ABC News report is that Meadows told investigators that Trump was being dishonest with the public when he started claiming fraud in the hours after the election. A source telling ABC News that Meadows told investigators, quote, "Obviously, we didn't win." But this was obviously not the message we were hearing from anyone around Trump at the time. I mean, we in journalism, in actual journalism, knew that Donald Trump was not being honest when he made that claim. But the Trump White House was in full lie mode.
Right. So let's a couple of things here. As Evan just said, this is incredibly significant because he was the chief of staff. Mark Meadows was in the room. He was on the phone call to Georgia. He is aware of everything that's going on. And let's not forget, on January 6th, he sat there in the White House, according to Cassidy Hutchinson, scrolling through his phone while Donald Trump would not come out for, 187 minutes and tell the rioters to stop and go home. He is the inner circle of everything that was happening, and he has been given immunity. And when you get immunity, you can't take the fifth. You have to testify to what you know. I think there's something else that's worth mentioning here. Mark Meadows, during that whole period of time that he now says he was telling Trump that this was baseless, he was saying something else publicly all of this time. He wrote in his book that the election was still stolen and rigged. So what's been going on behind closed doors with prosecutors is completely different from what the public posture was. One question I'll have is, in addition to his testifying honestly about what happened, what does he get immunity from? What was his exposure in all of this, Jake?
Yeah, no, immunity to testify, and that Meadows said he warned Trump that his election fraud lies after the 2020 election were in fact baseless. I want to bring in CNN's Evan Perez. Evan, this seems rather significant.
Jake, it is significant. We've known that, and we've reported that Meadows did go before the grand jury. We knew that he had spoken to the grand jury. As a matter of fact, this has been a big source of conjecture within Donald Trump's circle, legal circle, certainly was the question of what level of cooperation was Mark Meadows having with the special counsel. Now we know from ABC's reporting that this was done under an immunity deal and that he had spoken to the special counsel, including before the grand jury, multiple times. And the key here is that according to this story from ABC, the former chief of staff to the former president told investigators that the former president was being dishonest when he claimed that he had won the election immediately after the November election, November 2020 election. He also goes on to say that he had repeatedly warned the former president that there was no evidence to sustain his claims that there was this widespread fraud that could have made a difference in those election results in 2020. That's a big piece of information for someone so close to Donald Trump to provide to those investigators, to provide to Jack Smith.